I looked at my phone for the 10th time that evening. My best friend, Rachel, had sent me an address and a simple message. Show up at 7:00. You'll thank me later. 3 hours earlier, my girlfriend Sarah had broken up with me. She said I spent more time fixing other people's problems than noticing she was falling apart. She packed a bag while I stood there holding the smoothie bowl I'd just made for both of us. Her last words were about how I always looked through her, never at her. Now, Rachel wanted me at some bar to meet a stranger. My name is Emma. I'm 28 and work as an interior designer at a firm in Brooklyn, New York. I design spaces, choose furniture, and sit through endless video calls that should have been emails. Sarah used to joke that I cared more about color schemes than her birthday. Maybe she wasn't joking. This morning felt normal. I bought her a silver necklace with a small crescent moon pendant, thinking it would help. Instead, she left it on the kitchen counter and said, buying things wouldn't fix what was broken between us. I almost texted Rachel to cancel, but my apartment felt too empty, like all the air had been sucked out. So I grabbed my jacket and drove across town, promising myself I'd stay for 20 minutes and leave. The Crimson Room sits on the corner of Bedford Avenue and North 7th Street in Williamsburg. Dark burgundy walls, soft music, the kind of place where people go to forget about spreadsheets and deadlines. I walked in and looked around. She sat alone in a corner booth, her back straight, one hand wrapped around a glass of red wine. She wore a black dress that looked expensive, her brown hair falling over one shoulder. Something about her face seemed familiar, but I couldn't figure out what. Before I could think too hard, a woman stood up from her table. She said something short and sharp, then walked past me toward the door. Her face was tight with anger. I should have turned around right then. Should have texted Rachel that this was a bad idea. But instead, I walked over to her table. "So, you're my blind date?" I said. She looked up slowly. Her eyes studied me like she was solving a puzzle. Then her lips curved into a small smile. "Not bad," she said. My brain caught up a second later. She was my neighbor, not from my building, but from the one next door. I'd seen her in the parking lot by the mailboxes, walking a golden retriever every morning. We'd never actually talked, just nodded in passing. And apparently Rachel had set us up without telling either of us. I almost laughed, almost walked away, but she pointed at the empty seat across from her. "Sit, unless you're planning to run like the last one." "Rough night?" I asked, sliding into the booth. "You could say that." She took a sip of wine. "Just found out my girlfriend's been cheating on me for 2 months. She called me paranoid when I asked about it. Then she finally admitted everything and somehow made it sound like my fault for not trusting her." "That sounds familiar," I said before I could stop myself. She raised an eyebrow. "Your date stood you up?" "Worse. My girlfriend broke up with me this afternoon, said I was emotionally distant, which is probably true, but it still hurt hearing it out loud." She studied me for a moment, then raised her hand to get the server's attention. "We're going to need another round." We started trading stories. She told me about her girlfriend, Jessica, a corporate lawyer who worked in Manhattan. How she promised to show up for work events but always had last-minute excuses. How she felt stupid for believing her every single time. I told her about Sarah. About the necklace sitting in my glove compartment. About the word comfortable, and how it stopped being a compliment and became a prison. "Comfortable means you stopped trying," she said, swirling her wine. "It means you got complacent. Is that what you were?" "I don't know. Maybe. What about you?" She laughed, but it sounded tired. "I was desperate to make it work. That's different." Her name was Olivia. She worked as a marketing consultant, the kind who flies to different cities helping companies rebrand themselves. She grew up in Portland, Oregon, where her parents ran a small bed and breakfast. They worked 16-hour days just to keep the lights on. She swore she'd never struggle like that, so she studied business and marketing and climbed every ladder she could find. I told her about my brother's accident 3 years ago. How he'd been in the hospital for a week after a motorcycle crash, and I'd been too buried in a freelance project to visit until he was already recovering. How I still felt guilty about it. "He knows you care," she said quietly. "They always know." 2 hours disappeared like 20 minutes. The bar filled up around us, voices rising and falling. But we stayed in our corner booth building something out of broken pieces. She wasn't what I expected. Just someone who'd had a terrible day and didn't want to pretend otherwise. When the bartender announced last call, Olivia reached across the table and touched my wrist. "Thanks for not making this weird." "It is weird," I said. "We're neighbors." "I know, but right now, I'm just someone who needed this conversation." We walked to the parking lot together. Rain had started while we were inside, leaving the pavement shiny under the streetlights. She had an umbrella and didn't ask before holding it over both of us. Our shoulders pressed together as we walked. At her car, a dark blue sedan that looked newer than anything I'd ever owned, she stopped. "This stays between us, right? It might get awkward if everyone in the building knows we went on a blind date." "Our secret," I promised. She smiled, unlocked her car, then paused. "Emma?" "Yeah?" "I'm glad Rachel set this up. Even if she's an idiot for not warning us." I watched her drive away, her taillights disappearing around the corner. My phone buzzed, Rachel asking how it went. I ignored her and drove home, my head still spinning from the whole night. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment below what city you're watching from. It really helps the channel grow. Let's go. Inside my apartment, I set the necklace box on my dresser and stared at it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. "Did you make it home safe?" I saved her contact and typed back, "Yeah, you." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Safe and sound. Thanks for tonight. I needed it more than I realized." We texted until past midnight. She told me about her dog, Cooper, who knocked over her coffee every morning at 6 sharp. I told her about my cluttered desk, how Sarah had taken most of our shared furniture, and I hadn't bothered replacing any of it. She sent a photo of Cooper, a golden retriever with his tongue hanging out. I sent back a picture of my empty living room. "Minimalist," she wrote. "Lazy," I corrected. "I like honest," she replied. When I finally put my phone down, the clock read 1:15. I should have been exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop. I'd just spent hours with my neighbor sharing things I hadn't told anyone in months, and somehow it felt like the most normal thing in the world. My alarm went off at 6:30, and for 3 seconds everything felt normal. Then I saw Olivia's last text on my screen, sent an hour ago while I was still asleep. "Coffee before work. There's a place near my office, the Corner Cafe. 7:30. I sat up too fast and nearly knocked my water glass off the nightstand. This was really happening. My neighbor, who I'd met on a blind date 12 hours ago, wanted to have breakfast with me. I typed back quickly, "I'll be there." Then I spent 20 minutes trying to find a shirt that didn't look like I was trying too hard. The Corner Cafe was one of those old places with vinyl booths and a menu that probably hadn't changed since the 90s. Olivia was already there when I walked in, sitting by the window in jeans and a gray hoodie. I'd never seen her in anything casual. It made her look younger, more relaxed, like a completely different person. "You're late," she said, but she was smiling. "Traffic." "Liar. You probably changed your shirt 3 times. I slid into the booth across from her. Twice, actually. We ordered coffee and bagels with cream cheese. The conversation picked up right where we'd left it, like we hadn't stopped at all. She told me more about growing up in Portland, how her parents came home smelling like fresh linens and baked goods, so tired they could barely talk, how she watched them struggle and promised herself she'd build a different life. So she studied harder than anyone, graduated top of her class, and now spent her weeks flying to different cities, fixing other people's businesses. Do you ever regret it? I asked. All that work to get where you are? She spread cream cheese on her bagel in a slow, deliberate motion. Sometimes. When I'm in a hotel in some city I don't know, and I realize it's been weeks since I had a real conversation with someone. But then I remember watching my parents exhausted every night, and I think at least I chose my own kind of tired. That makes sense, I said. She looked at me with those brown eyes that seemed to see more than I intended to show. And you? Always wanted to be a designer. No, I wanted to be a fine artist, a painter specifically. But my parents thought it was too risky, so I chose interior design. It's creative enough not to kill me inside, but safe enough to pay the bills. Do you still paint? Haven't in years. Sarah used to say I should pick it up again, but I could never find the time. I paused. Or the courage, maybe. Olivia reached across the table and touched my hand briefly. You should try again. I bet you're good at it. Her touch sent a wave of warmth up my arm. I tried to ignore it. How do you know Rachel? I asked, changing the subject. Business meeting about 2 years ago. She's an event producer and I was consulting for her company. We became friends, and she got obsessed with setting me up after I broke up with my ex. Jessica? No, the one before her. Amanda. That was 3 years ago. Jessica was just another mistake on a long list. I understand that, I said. Sarah was my third serious girlfriend. I thought this time would be different. But it wasn't. No. We sat in silence for a moment, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens when two people understand something without needing to speak. So, Olivia said finally, what do we do now? What do you mean? We're neighbors. We met on a blind date. We had a really good night talking, and now I'm having coffee with you and wondering when I'll see you again. My heart sped up. You want to see me again? I wouldn't be here at 7:30 in the morning if I didn't. I smiled. How about dinner? Tonight? Tonight is perfect. We left the cafe together. The morning sun was warm on my face. Olivia stopped by her car and looked at me in a way that made my stomach flip. See you tonight, Emma. See you. I watched her drive away, then went to my car with a stupid grin on my face. I texted Rachel, "You're impossible, but thank you." She responded immediately, "I told you you'd thank me. Tell me everything later." The workday passed in a fog. I sat in meetings without really paying attention. I worked on projects without finishing anything. My boss, Patricia, asked if I was okay twice. I said yes, just didn't sleep well. But the truth was, my mind was completely somewhere else. I was thinking about Olivia, about the way she smiled when I showed up at the cafe, about the touch of her hand, about the way she looked at me before she left. At 5 p.m, my phone buzzed. Still on for tonight? Definitely. What time and where? My place, 7:30. I'll cook. I laughed. You cook? Reasonably well. I won't poison you. Promise. Okay then. What should I bring? Just yourself. I arrived at her apartment at 7:25. I took a deep breath before ringing the doorbell. Cooper barked from the other side of the door. Then I heard Olivia telling him to be quiet. When she opened the door, she was wearing a light blue button-down shirt and dark jeans. Hair pulled back in a loose bun. Some strands fell around her face. "Hi," she said. "Hi." Cooper ran up to me, his tail wagging so hard his whole body swayed. I laughed and bent down to pet him. "He already likes you," Olivia said. "That's a good sign." Her apartment was beautiful, tastefully decorated but not cold. There were photos on the walls, plants on the shelves, a colorful crocheted blanket thrown over the couch. It smelled like garlic and basil. "I'm making shrimp risotto," she said, leading me to the kitchen. "I hope you like seafood." "Love it." She poured wine while she finished cooking. We talked about everything and nothing. She told me about a trip to New Orleans where she got lost in the French Quarter and ended up at an impromptu jazz show. I told her about the time I painted an entire wall purple on a project, and the client got so angry they almost fired me. We ate at the small kitchen table with Cooper lying at our feet. The food was delicious. The conversation flowed effortlessly. And somewhere between the second glass of wine and the improvised dessert of passion fruit sorbet, I realized I hadn't thought about Sarah once in the last 3 hours. "What are you thinking?" Olivia asked. "That this feels surreal. Yesterday I was alone in my apartment feeling miserable, and now I'm here with you." "It is surreal," she agreed, "but in a good way." After dinner, we moved to the couch. Cooper jumped between us, putting his head in my lap. Olivia turned on the TV to some indie movie neither of us really watched. We were too busy talking. At some point, she got quiet and looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "What?" I asked. "I was thinking about kissing you," she said simply. "But I don't know if it's too soon." My heart started beating faster. "How long have you been thinking about it?" "Since the cafe this morning. Maybe since last night at the bar." "So why don't you?" She smiled and leaned in. The kiss was soft at first, almost hesitant, like we were both testing something new and scary. Then she put her hand on the back of my neck and pulled me closer, and the kiss deepened, became more urgent. When we pulled apart, we were both breathless. "That was..." I started. "Yeah," she said. We kissed again, and again. I lost track of time. All that existed was Olivia, the taste of her, the way her fingers tangled in my hair. Eventually we separated and just looked at each other. "Do you want to stay?" she asked quietly. "Stay? Here. Tonight. With me." I should have hesitated. Should have thought about whether it was too soon, if we were moving too fast. But I didn't. "Yes," I said. "I want to stay." She smiled, took my hand, and led me to the bedroom. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window and Cooper licking my hand. It took me a second to remember where I was. Then I felt Olivia stir beside me, her arm around my waist, and everything came back. The dinner, the kiss, the whole night talking until we fell asleep tangled together. "Good morning," she murmured against my neck. "Good morning." "Cooper wants me to take him for a walk, but I don't want to move." I laughed. "I think he needs to." She sighed dramatically. "Fine, but you stay here. I'll make coffee when I get back." "I can help." "You can stay in bed and let me spoil you a little." I watched her get dressed in workout clothes, pull her hair into a ponytail, clip Cooper's leash. Before leaving, she leaned down and kissed me softly. Back in 20 minutes. When the door closed, I lay on my back and stared at the ceiling. This was happening. It was really happening. 2 days ago, Sarah had broken up with me, and my life seemed to have collapsed. Now I was in my neighbor's bed, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just physical attraction, though there was that too. It was the ease, the way we could talk for hours without forcing anything, how she made me laugh even when I thought I couldn't. Olivia came back with 2 coffees from the corner deli and warm croissants. "I thought you were going to make coffee," I said. "Changed my mind. The guy on the corner makes it better than me." We had coffee in bed, Cooper lying at our feet. We talked about our plans for the weekend. Olivia had to travel to Boston on Monday for a client meeting, would be gone for 3 days. The idea of not seeing her for 3 days made me strangely sad. "Will you miss me?" she teased. "Maybe a little. Just a little." "Okay, a lot." She smiled and kissed me. Me too. I spent the rest of the week in a kind of happy haze. I worked during the day, but my mind was always partially on Olivia. We texted constantly, photos of what we were eating, complaints about boring meetings, memes that made us laugh. At night, when she was free, we'd video call. We'd talk until late, Sometimes about important things, sometimes about absolutely nothing. "I miss you," she said one of those nights, her voice soft through the phone. "I miss you too. When are you back?" "Thursday afternoon. Have a flight at 3. "Dinner on Thursday then? Can't wait." But on Thursday, something changed. I went to Whole Foods near our building to get things to make dinner. I was picking out tomatoes when I saw her. Olivia was in the next aisle, looking at pasta. My heart jumped. I was about to go to her when I noticed she wasn't alone. A woman was with her. Tall, blonde hair cut short, confident smile. They were talking quietly, but their bodies were close. Too close. The woman touched Olivia's arm while laughing at something she said, and Olivia didn't pull away. My stomach dropped. I stood there, holding the tomatoes, watching. The woman picked a box of pasta from the shelf and put it in Olivia's cart. Like she'd done it 1,000 times before. Like she had the right to do it. Olivia looked in my direction and our eyes met. I saw panic cross her face. The blonde woman followed Olivia's gaze and saw me too. Her eyes narrowed. I couldn't stay there anymore. I put the tomatoes back and turned to the other aisle. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Who was that woman? Why was Olivia grocery shopping with her? Why did she look so comfortable? "Emma, wait!" I heard Olivia's voice behind me, but I didn't stop. I kept walking toward the exit. She caught up with me in the parking lot. "Emma, please let me explain." I stopped and turned to her. "Who was that? It's complicated." It didn't look complicated. It looked like you were shopping together like a happy couple. Olivia ran her hand through her hair, frustrated. "She's my ex, Jessica, the one I told you about." I felt my chest tighten. "Your ex? The one who cheated on you?" "Yes. She showed up at my apartment last night wanting to talk. Said she ended things with the other person, that she made a mistake, that she wanted to try again." "And you? What did you say?" "I said no. I said I was moving on, that I met someone, but you were with her at the grocery store, because she begged me to talk a little more. Said she needed closure. I thought it would be quick. Just pick up some things she left at my apartment and end it for good." I crossed my arms. It looked a lot more comfortable than quick closure, Olivia. "I know how it looked, but I swear it's nothing. I don't want her. I want you." "How can I be sure of that? We barely know each other. Maybe you still have feelings for her." Olivia stepped closer, her eyes glistening. "I don't. Emma, I know it's recent, but what I feel for you is real. More real than anything I had with Jessica. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to so badly. But the image of them together at the store was burned in my mind." "I need some time to think," I said, walking toward my car. "Emma, don't do this. Don't pull away from me." I stopped with my hand on the car door handle. "I just need to process all of this. Please, give me that time." I saw the pain on her face, but I couldn't deal with that now. I got in my car and drove away, leaving Olivia standing in the parking lot. I spent the rest of the day in my apartment, trying to sort through my feelings. Part of me knew I was overreacting. Olivia had been honest about who Jessica was. She wasn't hiding anything. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt too many times before, was scared. Scared of opening up and being disappointed again. My phone rang during the evening. It was Olivia. I thought about not answering, but I couldn't resist. "Hi," I said. "Hi, are you okay?" "I'm trying to be." There was a pause. "I sent Jessica away. I told her clearly that I was with you, that there was no chance of us getting back together. She got angry, but I don't care. You're more important." I felt my eyes burn. "Olivia, I understand if you need time, but I need you to know that I'm serious about us. About you. I'm not going to throw this away. I know. I just got scared. Seeing you together reminded me that there are other people in your past, people who've known you longer than I have. But none of them know me like you do. In 1 week, you've discovered more about me than Jessica did in a year. Because you really pay attention. You care. A tear rolled down my face. I do care. A lot. Then let me prove it to you. Give me a chance to show you this is real. I closed my eyes. Okay, let's try. Can I come over? Now? Now, please. All right. 20 minutes later, she was at my door. When I opened it, she pulled me into a tight hug. I'm sorry for scaring you, she murmured against my hair. I'm sorry for freaking out. We separated, and she held my face in her hands. Let's do this differently. Let's talk when something bothers us. Let's be honest, even when it's hard. Can we do that? We can. She kissed me, soft and sweet. Now, are you still making that dinner or should we order food? I laughed through the tears. Let's order. I'm not in the mood to cook. Pizza. Pizza is perfect. We ordered pizza and spent the night on my couch, watching some random show. Cooper had come with her and was sleeping on the rug. It felt right having them both there, filling the empty space of my apartment. Emma? Olivia said during a commercial. About that day at the grocery store. I should have told you that Jessica had shown up. I was stupid not to let you know. Yeah, you should have. But I understand why you didn't. You didn't want to complicate things. Still, next time, I'll tell you everything. No secrets. No secrets, I agreed. She intertwined her fingers with mine. Are we good? I looked at her, at those brown eyes that were already so familiar to me, and smiled. We're good. The following weeks brought a comfortable routine. Olivia and I fell into an easy rhythm. Coffee on mornings when she wasn't traveling. Dinners together when we were both free. Weekends walking Cooper along the Brooklyn Bridge, stopping for ice cream and watching the sunset over Manhattan. I met her friends at a happy hour in the East Village. They welcomed me with hugs and questions, clearly happy that Olivia had found someone. Rachel was there, of course, bragging about having set us up. I knew you two would hit it off, she said, toasting with her martini. I saw that chemistry from miles away. You hadn't even seen us together before that day, Olivia protested. Didn't need to. You two have that, I hate you because I want to kiss you energy when you cross paths in the parking lot. I blushed. We didn't hate each other. No, but you pretended the other didn't exist. It's basically the same thing. Olivia laughed and put her arm around my shoulders. Well, now we're not pretending anymore. But there was something still bothering me. We were together constantly, but always in her apartment or mine, or in places where we didn't know anyone. Never holding hands in front of neighbors, never kissing in the parking lot. It was like we had an unspoken agreement to keep things discreet. One Saturday afternoon, as we were coming back from a walk in Prospect Park, we ran into Mrs. Chen, who lived on the floor below Olivia's. She greeted us warmly. Good to see you two together. Are you friends? Olivia hesitated just a fraction of a second, but I noticed. Yes, friends. Neighbors, actually. Something tightened in my chest, but I smiled and waved. Mrs. Chen continued on her way, and we headed to the building in silence. Inside the elevator, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Friends? Olivia looked at the floor. I didn't know what to say. You could have said the truth. Mrs. Chen is a big gossip, Emma. If I said anything, by tomorrow the whole building would know. And would that be so terrible? She finally looked at me. It's not that. We're still starting out. I don't know if I'm ready to deal with people's comments. What comments? You know, the building aunties asking questions, the looks, the judgment. The judgment, I repeated. Are you ashamed of me? No, never. Emma, it's not about you. Then what is it about? Because it seems a lot like you don't want people to know about us. The elevator stopped at her floor. The doors opened, but neither of us moved. I need time, she said quietly, to adjust to all of this, to be sure. Be sure of what? Of me. Of us? Of how we're going to deal with this, with people, with everything. I felt tears burning behind my eyes. You know what? Call me when you figure it out. I got out of the elevator and went to the stairs. I heard Olivia calling me, but I didn't stop. I climbed the 3 flights to my floor, entered my apartment, and leaned against the door. Only then did I let the tears fall. She was ashamed, or scared, or both. And I didn't know if I could deal with that. I'd been in relationships where I had to hide who I was, where I had to pretend to be someone else. I swore I'd never do that again. But here I was, again, hidden. My phone rang. Olivia. I ignored it. It rang again. I turned it off. I spent Sunday alone, alternating between anger and sadness. Part of me understood her side. It wasn't easy being exposed, especially in a building full of older, more conservative people. But another part of me felt that if she really wanted me, she wouldn't care what others thought. On Monday morning, I found a note under my door. Emma, I'm sorry. You're right. I was scared, but that's no excuse. You deserve someone who claims you, who's proud to be with you. I want to be that person. Give me a chance to prove it. Olivia. I held the note for a long time. I wanted to believe her. But words were easy. Actions were what mattered. I didn't respond to the note. Instead, I went to work and tried to focus on my projects. But it was difficult. My head was full of Olivia, of us, of everything that could go wrong. On Tuesday night, I heard a knock on the door. It was Olivia, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. I know you like sunflowers, she said. You mentioned it once. I took the flowers, surprised she'd remembered. Thank you. Can I come in? I hesitated, but stepped aside to let her pass. She entered slowly, like she was walking on delicate ground. I've been thinking a lot the last few days, she began. About what you said. About pretending. And you're right. I was pretending we could keep this just between us, that it didn't matter what others thought. But it does matter, because it matters to you, and you matter to me more than anyone else's opinion. Olivia, let me finish. I grew up in a small town where being different meant being excluded. I saw how people treated my friend's cousin when she came out as a lesbian. The whispers, the looks, the doors that closed, and I promised myself I'd never go through that. So I built this perfect life, this image of success, and the idea that people might judge me for who I love terrified me. But then I met you. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Like I could really breathe. And I realized that living in fear is worse than any judgment. I want to be with you, Emma. For real. Without hiding. Without pretending. I felt my heart soften. Are you sure? Absolutely. And to prove it. She took my phone from the coffee table. I'm going to post a picture of us on Instagram. Right now. You don't have to do that. I need to. I want to. She pulled me close, took a selfie of us both, our faces close, smiling. Then she wrote the caption, "With the person who makes my days make sense." Before I could protest, she posted it. Done, she said, showing me the screen. Everyone who follows me will see it, including the building aunties who added me on Facebook. I laughed, half nervous, half relieved. Your phone is going to explode. Let it explode. I don't care. And she didn't care. In the following hours, her phone didn't stop buzzing. Messages from friends, comments from acquaintances, some positive, some neutral, some clearly uncomfortable. But Olivia didn't delete the post, didn't hide. "How are you feeling?" I asked. Terrified, relieved, happy. She looked at me, mostly happy. Me too. She kissed me then, soft but firm. And for the first time, I felt we were real. Not just in private, but for real. In the following days, there were reactions. Mrs. Chen stopped greeting Olivia in the elevator. Mr. Wilson from the ground floor made a nasty comment about these modern times. But there were also surprises. Mrs. Thompson, who lived on the same floor as Olivia, knocked on her door with a carrot cake. "For you two," she said with a shy smile. "My granddaughter is a lesbian too. I'm glad you have each other." Olivia almost cried, so did I. And when we walked through the building, holding hands, yes, there were looks. But there were also smiles. And gradually the fear gave way to something better. Pride. Freedom. Love without conditions. 6 months had passed since that night at the Crimson Room. 6 months that felt like both an eternity and just a few days. Olivia and I officially moved in together to her apartment because it was bigger, and because Cooper already considered that space his territory. Mixing our things was easier than we expected. My plants joined hers on the shelves. My design books shared space with her marketing manuals. My French press replaced her electric coffee maker, which caused our first cohabitation argument, resolved with a kiss and an agreement that each of us would make coffee our own way. But while our domestic life was flourishing, something was changing in me. I started waking up with nausea. At first, I thought it was something I ate. Then I thought it might be work stress, because I'd just landed a big project for a boutique hotel in the Hamptons. But when the nausea persisted for 2 weeks, Olivia insisted I see a doctor. "It might be gastritis," she said one morning, watching me push the coffee away. "Or it might just be a virus. Emma, you've been pale for days. And when was the last time you ate something without complaining about the taste?" She was right. Everything tasted strange lately. Even my favorite chocolate croissant from the corner bakery tasted metallic. I made an appointment with Dr. Martinez, my general practitioner. She asked a series of questions, examined my belly, then suggested some blood tests. "Just as a precaution," she said. "Let's check everything." A week later, she called asking me to come back to the office. Her voice had that careful tone doctors use when they have important news. "Do you want me to go with you?" Olivia asked when I told her. "You don't have to. It's probably nothing." "I'm sure it's not, but I'm coming anyway." We sat in Dr. Martinez's waiting room, our hands intertwined. Olivia was trying to appear calm, but I could feel the tension in her fingers. When the doctor finally called us in, my heart was racing. "So, Emma," she began, with a small smile, "your tests came back and they explain your symptoms perfectly." "Is it serious?" I asked, my voice coming out higher than intended. "Depends on your perspective. You're pregnant." The world stopped. Literally stopped. I looked at the doctor, certain I'd heard wrong. "Pregnant," I repeated. "Yes, about 8 weeks, based on hormone levels." Olivia squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. I looked at her. Her eyes were wide, shocked. But there was something else there too. Something that looked suspiciously like joy. "But how?" I asked, still processing. Dr. Martinez laughed gently. "Well, you mentioned in your forms that you tried insemination a few months ago." That's when everything clicked. 3 months ago, after a lot of discussion, Olivia and I decided we wanted to have a child. We researched clinics, chose a donor, and did 2 attempts at artificial insemination. When neither worked, we decided to take a break. I was so focused on work that I didn't even notice my period was late. It worked, I whispered. It really worked. It worked, Dr. Martinez confirmed. Congratulations, you two. We left the office in a kind of trance. We got in the car and just looked at each other. We're having a baby, Olivia said. We're having a baby, I confirmed. And then we both started laughing and crying at the same time, hugging in the front seat while people passed through the parking lot. The following weeks were a roller coaster. My belly started to grow. Morning sickness intensified before finally improving in the second trimester. Olivia became overprotective, insisting I not carry anything heavy, that I rest more, that I eat right. You're going to drive me crazy, I complained, when she stopped me from climbing the ladder to hang a picture. I'd rather drive you crazy than see you fall. It's one step, Olivia. I don't care. You're carrying our baby. I'll carry the pictures. It was impossible to be mad at her when she was so clearly in love with the idea of us being mothers. We told our families on separate video calls. My mom screamed so loud she woke my dad on the couch. Olivia's parents cried with joy, promising to visit as soon as they could come from Portland. A baby, my mom kept repeating. My Emma is going to have a baby. Actually, we don't know the gender yet, I said. I know, it's a girl. Mothers always know. And she was right. At the 20-week ultrasound, the technician pointed to the screen. See here, it's definitely a girl. Olivia squeezed my hand so hard I lost circulation. A girl. We're having a girl. We cried looking at that blurry image on the screen, trying to make out the tiny fingers, the small nose, the heart beating fast and strong. She's perfect, Olivia whispered. She hasn't even been born yet. I know, but she's already perfect. We decided to name her Lucy, after Olivia's grandmother. We bought tiny clothes, set up the crib in the guest room, painted the walls a soft yellow because we wanted something cheerful but not stereotypically pink. Cooper seemed confused by all the changes, sniffing the new baby things with suspicion. But Olivia would sit him on the floor and patiently explain that he would be the big brother, Lucy's protector. He'll adapt, she assured me. I hope so. I don't want to have to choose between my dog and my daughter. You'll never have to choose. He'll love her as much as we do. As my belly grew, I realized the world was full of unsolicited opinions. Strangers at the grocery store touched my belly without asking permission. Neighbors asked about the father with curious looks. Olivia learned to intercept these interactions quickly. We're the mothers, she'd say with a polite but firm smile. Both of us. Some understood. Others just blinked confused and walked away. But we stopped caring. We had each other, and soon we'd have Lucy. That was all that mattered. On a Sunday afternoon, when I was in my 7th month, we sat on the couch looking for middle names for Lucy. I was lying with my feet in Olivia's lap, who was massaging them absent-mindedly. Lucy Marie? She suggested. Too common. Lucy Grace? I made a face. No, bad memory. Fair. Lucy Olivia? I looked at her. You want our daughter to have your name as her middle name? Why not? You're carrying her. The least I can do is lend my name. Lucy Olivia, I tested. Actually, I like it. Really? Really. Lucy Olivia Bennett. Olivia leaned down and kissed my forehead. Perfect. She's going to be perfect. And we believed it with every fiber of our being, our girl, our family, our life we were building brick by brick. Of course it wasn't always easy. I got emotional and weepy. We fought about silly things like which stroller to buy and whether we should have a baby shower. Olivia got stressed trying to balance work with preparing the house for Lucy's arrival. But at the end of the day, we always came back to each other, always apologized, always remembered we were a team. We're going to make it, Olivia would say on difficult nights. How do you know? Because we love each other, and because we're going to love this girl more than anything in the world. That's enough. And it was. It would be. It had to be. When I entered my 9th month, each day felt like an eternity. My belly was so big I could barely tie my own shoes. Olivia did everything for me, from making coffee to helping me out of the shower. "You don't have to do everything," I protested. "I want to. Let me take care of you. You already do. It's never too much." And then, on a rainy Tuesday in April, my water broke. It was 3 a.m. when I felt the first real contraction. I'd woken up an hour earlier with mild pain, but now they were waves that took my breath away. "Olivia," I called softly. "Wake up. It's happening." She jumped out of bed. Olivia went through controlled panic, looking for the car keys that were in her pants pocket. She grabbed my hospital bag that had been packed for weeks. The traffic to Mount Sinai Hospital was surprisingly light for New York. Olivia drove carefully, both hands firm on the wheel. At admission, the nurse took us to a delivery room. Olivia didn't let go of my hand for a moment. "You're doing great," Dr. Martinez said. "You're already 7 centimeters dilated." "How much longer?" Olivia asked. "A few hours at most." The pain came in intense waves. Olivia stayed by my side the whole time, holding my hand, wiping my face, whispering words of encouragement. "You're being amazing," she'd say. "So strong." After 4 hours, Dr. Martinez examined me again. "It's time. When you feel the next contraction, push." Olivia positioned herself beside me. "You've got this," she whispered. "I'm here." I pushed with everything I had. And then, with one final push, I felt our daughter being born. Her cry filled the room. "Doctor." Martinez placed her on my chest. "Hello, Lucy," I whispered through tears. "We've been waiting for you." She was small, red, and perfect. I looked at Olivia, who was crying. "Do you want to hold her?" I asked. "She's yours too." Olivia took Lucy from my arms. I watched my wife hold our daughter for the first time. "Hi, little one," Olivia whispered. "I'm your other mom, and I already love you more than words can express." Lucy stopped crying, as if recognizing Olivia's voice. The following hours passed in a haze. Our family came to visit. My mom cried holding her first granddaughter. Olivia's parents brought a crocheted blanket her grandmother had made. We stayed 3 days in the hospital learning how to care for her. When we went home, we looked at Lucy sleeping. "Now it's real," I said. "Now it's real," Olivia agreed. The first months were the hardest and most wonderful. Lucy woke up every 3 hours to nurse. We took turns, stumbling with exhaustion, but always stopping to look at her sleeping in the crib, amazed that this small, perfect being was ours. "Sometimes I can't believe she's real," Olivia would say on quiet nights while we rocked Lucy. "I know. It's like we conjured a miracle." That's exactly what we did. As Lucy grew, our routine established itself. Olivia went back to work part-time, working from home whenever possible. I took maternity leave, spending my days with Lucy, learning her rhythms, her different cries for hunger versus sleep versus just wanting to be held. We completed a year in the apartment, a year since we started this life together. And although we were exhausted, although the house was in a perpetual state of chaos with diapers and baby clothes, we'd never been happier. One night, after putting Lucy to bed, Olivia and I collapsed on the couch. "Remember when we met?" she asked. "At the Crimson Room." "How could I forget? You thought I was your blind date." "You were. But we didn't know it then. We were just 2 people drunk on pain, trying to get over terrible breakups. And now look at us." Olivia took my hand. "I wouldn't change anything. Not the breakups, not Jessica, not Sarah. Because all of that led us here. Even the grocery store part," she laughed. "Especially the grocery store part." You found me pretending everything was okay when it wasn't. And you asked the right question. I didn't ask anything. You did with your eyes. You asked, how long are we going to pretend? And I realized I didn't want to pretend anymore. Not with you. I kissed her fingers. I love you. You know that, right? I know, and I love you too. You and Lucy are my whole life. We heard a soft cry from the baby's room. We looked at each other and laughed. Your turn, I said. Let's go together. And we did, both of us, checking on our daughter who was just dreaming, making those small sounds babies make. Olivia adjusted the blanket over her. I stroked her fine, dark hair. We're a family, Olivia whispered. The best family. We stood there, both of us, watching Lucy sleep. Cooper joined us, lying at our feet, and in that moment, everything made sense. All the painful breakups, all the fears, all the struggles. Everything had led to this apartment full of love, to this family we built from scratch. Later that night, lying in bed, Olivia turned to me. Emma? Thank you. For what? For showing up that night. For giving me a chance. For building this life with me. I turned on my side to face her. I should thank you. For making me stop pretending. For showing me what real love means. So we're even. We are. We kissed softly, tired but happy. And as I fell asleep, with Olivia's hand in mine, I heard Lucy breathing softly in the next room. And I knew that no matter what the future brought, we'd face it together. The three of us. Our small, perfect family, built from what were once just broken pieces. And that was our story. If you made it this far, and were as moved as I was, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment what your favorite part of this story was. I want to know what touched you most about Emma and Olivia's relationship. Comment down below. And see you in the next video.